welcome to this video where I will explore some fascinating area of linguistics. Today I will take a brief journey into phonetics and phonology, morphology, and then syntax. These fields help us understand how language works, from the sound we make to the structure of sentences, the meanings behind the words, and how we communicate in different contexts. So sit back and let's dive into the incredible world of linguistics. First, I will discuss about phonetics and phonology, the study of sounds and phonemes. Phonetics is the science of human speech sounds. Means phonetics is a branch of linguistics that focuses on the physical production, transmission, and perception of human speech sounds. It examines how sounds are articulated by the human vocal apparatus, how these sounds travel through the air as sound waves, and how they are received and interpreted by listeners' ear and brain. It has three subfields or branch. The oldest branch and also the one which is the most relevant in foreign language teaching is articulatory phonetics. Articulatory phonetics is a branch of phonetics that studies how speech sounds are physically produced by the human vocal apparatus. It focuses on the movements and interaction of various speech organs, including the lungs, vocal cords, tongue, teeth, lips, and nasal cavity. These organs work together to shape the airflow from the lungs into distinct mechanisms of sound production, such as the place of articulation, where in the vocal tract the sound is formed, and the manner of articulation, how the airflow is manipulated. For example, a bilabial sound like p or b is produced by bringing both lips together, while a dental sound like th in think is made by placing the tongue against the upper teeth. Similarly, the distinction between voice sounds and voiceless sounds depends on whether the vocal cords vibrate during sound production. Articulatory phonetics also help us understand how different languages use the same physical mechanisms in unique ways to produce distinct sounds. It is essential for areas like linguistics, speech therapy, and language teaching, as it provides as a foundation for understanding the physical basis of spoken communication. By exploring articulatory phonetics, we gain deeper insights into the intricate processes that allow humans to produce the vast range of sounds found in language around the world. The second branch is acoustic phonetics. Acoustic phonetics is a subfield of phonetics that focuses on the physical properties of speech sounds as they travel through the air in the form of sound waves. It examines the measurable aspect of these waves, such as the frequency, amplitude, and duration, to understand how different sounds are distinguished. This field provides insight into the structure of sounds by analyzing their acoustic features, such as pitch, loudness, and resonance, using tools like spectrograms, oscillograms, and waveforms. A key aspect of acoustic phonetics is the study of formants, which are the resonance frequencies of the vocal tract that shape the unique quality of vowel sounds. For example, the difference between the vowel sounds in bit and bat can be observed in their distinct format patterns. Consonants, on the other hand, are characterized by specific acoustic events, such as bursts of sound in spots like p or t, or continuous patterns of friction in fricatives like s or sh. Acoustic phonetics also explores how sound properties change depending on the speaker's voice, accent, or speaking style, making it crucial for analyzing variation of speech. This field has numerous applications, including the development of speech recognition systems, text-to-speech technology, forensics investigations, example, speaker identifications, and language teaching. By linking the physical sound waves to their linguistic function, acoustic phonetics plays a vital role in understanding the science of spoken communication. The third branch is called auditory phonetics. Auditory phonetics is the branch of phonetics that focuses on how speech sounds are perceived and processed by the human auditory system. It examines how sounds are transmitted from the vocal tract to the ear, and how the brain interprets these sounds as meaningful speech. Auditory phonetics looks at the role of the ear in detecting differences in pitch, loudness, and quality of sounds, and how these features are then processed to identify and distinguish between various speech sounds. One important aspect of auditory phonetics is the study of sound perceptions, which explore how listeners perceive different speech sounds, even when those sounds may be acoustically similar. For example, it examines how people can easily differentiate between the sounds of p and p despite their acoustic similarities, based on subtle differences like voice onset time. Auditory phonetics also studies how factors such as background noise, speech rate, and the listener's experience or familiarity with a language can affect sound perception. This field is essential for understanding how individuals process and understand spoken language. It has application in areas like hearing research, speech therapy, and language learning, where understanding how sounds are perceived can aid in diagnosing hearing impairments, developing better language teaching methods, and improving communication strategies. By studying auditory phonetics, we gain deeper understanding of the cognitive and sensory processes that allow us to interpret and respond to the sounds of speech. Now, let's move to the task of phonetics. The primary task of phonetics or phonetic science is twofold: to provide an accurate notation system and detailed description for every speech sound used in human language. This dual responsibility is fundamental to the systematic study, understanding, and documentation of the vast array of sounds that occur in spoken communication across the world. By addressing this task, phonetics laid the groundwork for linguistic analysis, language learning, and application in technology and speech therapy. The first one is providing a notation system. Phonetics seeks to create a standardized system to represent speech sounds accurately and consistently. This goal has been realized through the development of the International Phonetics alphabet, or IPA, a universal phonetics notation system widely used by linguists, language educators, and speech therapists. The IPA assigns unique symbols to each distinct sound, or phoneme, found in human language, ensuring that the pronunciation of words can be documented without ambiguity. For example, the IPA used p to represent the voiceless bilabial plosive sound found in words like pet in English or pedo in Spanish. It also distinguishes between subtle variations such as the aspirated p in pot, as pronounced in English, versus the unspirited in many other languages. The IPA is critical for transcribing languages objectively, enabling linguists to study languages in a consistent way, even if those languages lack a written script. The standardized notation system is also indispensable in fields like language teaching, where learners can use IPA symbols to master pronunciations accurately. Second one, providing detailed description of speech sounds. In addition to notations, phonetics aims to describe how each speech sound is produced, transmitted, and perceived. This involves analyzing the articulatory features, acoustic properties, and auditory perceptions of sounds. Articulatory features. Phonetics explain how speech sounds are formed by the movement and positioning of speech organs such as the lips, tongue, vocal cords, and soft palate. For example, the t sound in English is described as a voiceless alveolar plosive, meaning it is produced by stopping and releasing airflow at the alveolar ridge without vibrating the vocal cords. And then, acoustic properties. Phonetics also examines the physical characteristics of sound waves, such as a frequency, amplitude, and duration. These properties distinguish sounds from one another and can be visualized using tools like spectrograms. For instance, vowels can be differentiated based on their formants, which are resonance patterns unique to each vowel sound. Next, auditory perceptions. Lastly, phonetics investigates how listeners perceive and process speech sounds. It explores how the human brain interprets the sounds it hears, even in challenging conditions like noisy environments or unfamiliar accents. The dual tasks of notation and description are essential for various fields. Linguistics research. They enable linguists to document and analyze language, particularly endangered or unwritten language, ensuring their sounds and structures are preserved for future study. Language learning. Accurate phonetics descriptions help language learners master pronunciations, particularly for sounds that do not exist in their native language, like the French nasal vowels or the Arabic pronasal fricatives. Speech therapy. Speech therapists use phonetic descriptions to diagnose and treat speech disorders, identifying specific sounds that patients may struggle to produce correctly. Technology development. Phonetic science plays a critical role in creating voice recognition systems, text-to-speech programs, and other speech-based technology. These applications rely on a deep understanding of speech sounds and their variations. Forensic linguistics. In forensic investigation, phonetics can help identify speakers or analyze recorded speech, making it a valuable tool in legal contexts. By combining an accurate system of representation with detailed analysis of sound production and perception, phonetics provides the tools necessary to bridge the physical properties of speech linguistics and practical applications. It forms the foundation for understanding the complexities of spoken language and continues to play a vital role in preserving linguistic diversity, improving communication, and enhancing technology. One characteristic feature of speech sounds is, for instance, the presence or absence of vocal cord vibrations during the production of the sound. One characteristic feature of speech sound is the presence This distinction is fundamental in phonetics and is used to classify sounds as either voiced or voiceless. When the vocal cords vibrate during the production of sound, the sound is described as voiced. Examples of voiced sounds in English include b, d, and g, where the vibration can be felt by placing a finger on the throat while articulating these sounds. On the other hand, when the vocal cords remain apart do not vibrate, the sound is classified as voiceless. Examples of voiceless sound include p, t, and k. This feature is not limited to specific types of sounds. Both consonants and vowels can be voiced or voiceless, although voiceless vowels are rare in human languages. For instance, in English, all vowels are voiced, but some languages like Japanese can feature devoiced vowels in specific contexts. The presence or absence of vocal cord vibration play a significant role in distinguishing between sounds that are otherwise similar in their place and manner of articulation. For example, the sounds S, voiceless, and Z voiced are both fricative and are produced at the same place of articulation, the alveolar ridge, but they differ in whether the vocal cords vibrate. This distinction is also essential for understanding phonemic contrast in languages. Many languages use voicing to differentiate meaning. In English, for example, the words pet and bat differ only in the voicing of their initial consonants. Similarly, in Spanish, peso, it means weight, and beso, it means kiss, are distinguished by the voicing of initial consonants. Another feature of speech sounds is, for example, the presence or absence of nasality. Nasality refers to whether the airflow during speech passes through the nasal cavity in addition to or instead of the oral cavity. This feature plays an important role in distinguishing between certain types of speech sounds and is a key characteristic in the phonetic study of languages worldwide. Nasality in speech sounds. Speech sounds are categorized as nasal or oral based on whether they fill the soft part of the roof of the mouth is raised or lowered during sound production. Nasal sounds. These occur when the phylum is lowered, allowing the airflow to pass through the nasal cavity. In English, common nasal consonants include n, and n, as in man, nat, and sing. These sounds are voiced and involve simultaneous airflow through both the oral and nasal cavities. Oral sounds. These occur when the phylum is raised, blocking the nasal passage, so the airflow exits slowly through the mouth. Most speech sounds in English, including vowels and many consonants, are oral. Nasalized sounds. In some languages, vowel or other consonants can become nasalized, meaning they are pronounced with airflow through the nasal cavity, even though they are not inherently nasal sounds. For instance, in French, nasal vowels like as in dance are distinct phonemes, meaning their nasality change the word's meaning. In contrast, English nasalized vowels in certain contexts, such as before nasal consonant, for example the vowel in man, but is not a phonemic distinction. Nasality in different languages. Languages vary widely in their use of nasality. Languages with nasal vowels. Languages like Portuguese, Hindi, and Yoruba feature nasal vowels as independent phonemes that can contrast with oral vowels. For instance, in Portuguese, the difference between and can change the meaning of a word. Languages with nasal consonants only. Many languages, such as Japanese, use nasal consonants but do not have nasal vowels. Languages with complex nasality system. Some languages, like those in Bantu family, exhibit complex interactions between nasal and oral sounds, including prenasalized consonants. Nasality has practical implications on speech recognition technology, as systems need to identify nasalized sounds accurately. In forensic linguistics, analyzing nasality can help identify speakers or accents. Nasality is also focus of linguistic research into how human vocal apparatus produces sounds and how these features have evolved across languages. Consonants in the word languages can be described based on place of articulation and manner of articulation. This explanation is a crucial part of articulatory phonetics, a branch of linguistics that studies how speech sounds are produced using the human speech organ. Below is more detailed explanation. First one is place of articulation. Place of articulation refers to the location in the vocal tract where the constriction or contact occurs during the production of consonant sounds. The main category of place of articulation are bilabial, produced by bringing both lips together. Labiodental, the lower lip touches the upper teeth. Dental, the tip of the tongue touches the upper teeth. Alveolar, the tip or blade of the tongue contact the alveolar ridge. Post-alveolar, produced just behind the alveolar ridge. Retroflex, the tongue tip curls backward and approaches the hard palate. Palatal, the middle of the tongue touches the hard palate. The back of the tongue approaches or touches the uvula. Glottal, produced at the glottis, or the space between the vocal cords. The second one, manner of articulation. Manner of articulation refers to how airflow is modified by the speech organ during consonant production. The main categories of manner articulation are plosive or stop. The airflow is completely blocked at the place of articulation before being released. Nasal. Airflow is redirected through the nose as the oral cavity is fully closed. Fricative. Air passes through a narrow constriction, creating friction. Affricate. A combination of a plosive and a fricative where the airflow is first completely stopped and then released through a narrow constriction. Approachment. Airflow is released with slight narrowing but without significant friction. Lateral approachment. Air escapes around the sides of the tongue, while the center of the tongue touches the place of articulation. Trill. Airflow causes repeated vibration of an articulator. Tap or flat. A quick contact occurs between the active and passive articulators. Glottal stop. Airflow is stopped at the glottis and then released suddenly. The third one is example of consonant in various languages. Different languages in the world use various combinations of consonants, some of which are unique and rarely found in other languages. For instance, Khoisan language or Africa feature click sounds or adjective consonants. Hindi distinguishes between aspirated and unaspirated plosives. And the fourth one, the relationship between place and manner of articulation. Consonants in different languages are often organized in a table based on their place and manner of articulation. According to manner of articulation, consonants are distinguished into 6 classes. There are plosives, also known as oral stops, fricatives, also known as spirants, affricates, nasals, also known as nasal stops, liquids, and glits. Plosive, fricatives, and affricates are produced with a structure impeding the flow of air, and therefore they can be called obstruents, while nasals, liquid, and glides are produced with a relatively free airflow, and can be called sonorants. Now I will talk about phonology. Phonology is the branch of linguistics that focuses on the study of the sound system of languages. It examines how sounds function within a particular language or across languages, exploring the rules and patterns that govern the organizations, combination, and usage. Unlike phonetics, which deal with the physical properties of speech sounds, phonology is concerned with the abstract, cognitive aspect of sounds as elements of linguistic systems. This includes studying phonemes, the smallest distinct sound units, as well as their variations called allophones. Phonology also analyzes stress, intonation, rhythm, and how these features contribute to meaning. By understanding these sound patterns, phonology provides insight into language, structure, acquisitions, and evolution. In phonology, a phoneme is the smallest unit of sound in a language that can distinguish meaning between words. It is an abstract representation of sound rather than the actual sound itself. For example, in English, the word cat and bat differ only in their initial. These sounds represent distinct phonemes because they change the meaning of the word. Phonemes are fundamental to the structure of a language and form the building blocks of sound system. Phonemes are not the same as actual speech sounds, which are called phones. A single phoneme can have different pronunciations depending on the context in which it occurs. These variations are known as allophones, and they do not change the meaning of a word. For instance, the t in sound in English is pronounced differently in top, with a strong burst of air known as aspiration, and stop without aspiration. Despite these differences, both sounds are perceived as the same phoneme by English speakers. Phonemes are language specific. This means that a sound that is considered a phoneme in one language might not be a phoneme in another. For example, in English, the sounds are distinct phonemes. But in some languages, such as Japanese, they are not distinguished in the same way and might be perceived as variations of the same sound. Phonemes play a crucial role in how languages function, as they help to organize sounds into patterns and systems that enable communication. By identifying the phonemes of a language and their rules of use, phonologists can be better understand the structure and behavior of the language's sound system. Phonemes can be identified using the minimal pair technique, which involves finding pairs of words that differ in meaning due to the change in only one sound. These word pairs, known as minimal pairs, provide clear evidence that the differing sound is distinct phoneme in the language being studied. For example, in English, the words pet and bed form a minimal pair because they differ only in their initial sounds. This difference in sound also changes the meaning, providing that are as separate phonemes in English. The minimal pair technique is a crucial tool in phonological analysis because it helps linguists determine which sounds are phonemes and which are not. If a sound change within a word does not result in a change of meaning, the differing sounds are likely allophones of the same phoneme, rather than separate phonemes. For instance, the aspirated in top and the unspirited in stop are not phonemes because substituting one for the other does not create a new word with a different meaning in English. This technique is highly effective because it relies on the principle that phonemes are contrastive. They can distinguish one word from another. It is also language-specific, meaning that a minimal pair in one language may not function as such as in another. However, in some languages, such as Japanese, these sounds may not serve as phonemes, and substituting one for the other may not change the meaning of a word. By systematically applying the minimal pair technique, linguists can map out the phonic inventory of a language, helping to understand its sounds and how it encodes meaning through sound. In phonemic transcription, we use as many symbols as there are phonemes. Consequently, they are favored in phonic transcription than in never phonetic transcription. Now let's move to the next discussion is about morphology. Morphology is the branch of linguistics that study the structure and formation of words. It focuses on morphemes, the smallest units of meaning, and how they combine to create words. For instance, the word cat consists of two morphemes, cat, the root referring to the animal, and as a suffix indicating plurality. Morphological analysis distinguishes between three key concepts: lexeme, synthetic word, and orthographic word. A lexeme is an abstract unit of meaning encompassing all grammatical forms of a word, such as the lexeme run, which include run, runs, and ran, and then running. Synthetic words refers to specific grammatical realizations of lexemes in sentences, while orthographic words are written units separated by space or punctuation. Morphemes are categorized as either free or bound. Free morphemes like dog or book can stand alone as independent words, while bound morphemes such as prefix, an, re, or suffixes as and ing must attach to other morphemes. Bound morphemes are further divided into inflectional morphemes, which modify grammatical properties without altering meaning, for example, ed for past tense, and derivational morphemes, which create the new word or change word categorized, for example, un in unhappy or ness in happiness. The study of morphemes can adopt an ethic or emic approach. The ethic approach is objective and cross-linguistic, focusing on universal patterns and physical forms. In contrast, the emic approach prioritizes native speakers' perspective, emphasizing how morphemes function and carry meaning within a specific linguistic system. Another important concept in morphology is segmentability, the extent to which word can be broken into distinct morphemes. Words like unhappiness have high segmentability, with clear morphemes like unhappy and deadness, while words like went exhibit low segmentability due to apoku structures. Word affirmation refers to the process of creating or analyzing words that convey positive or affirmative meanings. This can occur through roots, for example, table and true. Affirmative prefixes, for example, re in redo or pro in pramat. Or affirmative suffixes, for example, full in joyful and able in doable. Negative morphemes such as, un, or non contrast with this, reversing or negating meaning, happy versus unhappy. Understanding morphology and its components provides insight into how language encodes meaning and structure, helping linguists explore word formation, grammatical function, and semantic nuances. And the last discussion from this video is about syntax. Syntax is the study of the structure of phrases and sentences, focusing on the rules and principles that govern sentence formation in a language. It examines how words and phrases combine to convey meaning and ensure grammatical coherence. Key aspects include sentence components, sentence structure, syntactic rules, and word relationships. Syntax also addresses ambiguity, where identical structures may have different interpretations, and employs representation like tree diagrams to analyze sentence structure. The example of a tree diagrams, the cat sleeps, and the tree diagram would look like this. Complements in syntax are elements necessary to complete the meaning of a sentence. They include subject complements. For example, describing or identifying subject, object complements like providing more information about the direct object, verb complements, for example, direct objects or clauses, prepositional complements like completing prepositions, and adjective complements like completing adjectives. Unlike adjuncts, complements are essential and depend on the head word they complete. Representation in syntax involves modeling sentence structures to reflect their grammatical organization. These visual or conceptual tools, such as tree diagrams, highlight the hierarchical and functional relationships between sentence components, aiding linguists and learners in understanding the sentence structure systematically. Finally, syntax distinguishes between sentences and utterances. A sentence is an abstract grammatical construct following linguistic rules, while an utterance is a concrete instance of language use. Tied to a specific context and speaker, sentences are the theoretical and context-independent, whereas utterances are practical, contextual, and shaped by communication. So guys, in conclusion, language is a fascinating and complex system that we use every day, and each linguistic branch plays a crucial role in helping us understand in its different aspects. Phonetics and phonology explore the sounds of language, morphology studies how words are formed, and syntax focuses on the structure of sentences. Together, these fields provide a comprehensive view of how language works, both as a system and as a tool for interaction. Thank you for joining in this brief introduction to linguistics. I hope it has sparked your interest to explore these areas further. See you on the next video.